Thousands of Chinese migrants are crossing the border from Mexico into the United States this year. What is going on? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, this made big news, and everybody's talking about it. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. We received a lot of requests in our comments section to discuss this. Long story short, Andrew, America probably has a border issue. I think the left agrees on it, the right agrees on it, but they're trying to blame each other for it. Right. And we're going to get into it. But the reason we're talking about it, because we've received a ton of requests, is because actually, traditionally, a lot of people pouring in through the southern border were Latino, various South American countries. Now, it's a lot of people flying from around the world, specifically from China to Ecuador, crossing through the jungle into Mexico, going through the San Diego border.
So you're just saying Chinese people are everywhere. They're even crossing the Mexican border into the United States illegally around the little open fence area that is clearly that you see on social media right now.
Right. So, I've been hearing about this for like 10 years, but I think just right now the numbers have increased, right? And obviously America, you know, different administrations, they have different border policies or different like tones or whatever.
So there are a lot of details in these number of articles that have come out that I think are interesting. These are interesting details about these Chinese migrants, and we're going to get into it. We got the comment section, so we'll also give you our own thoughts. But yeah, I mean,
and Dr. Phil was like, you know, I think a lot of these, they might be spies. I don't know who they are. We need to watch who they are, because obviously for some of them, they're flying over. They're not necessarily the poorest of poor people. They might be like lower middle class. They save up, get the flight, and then they're going to potentially claim for political asylum, right?
Okay. So I guess it is interesting to see that Chinese people, first of all, Chinese people have always came to America ever since like the gold rush. They were either working here, they came over, or obviously some people came over illegally, but now a lot more are coming.
Legally and illegally.
Yeah,
right?
legally and illegally. A lot came as students, but a lot are coming through the border right now. I think it's interesting that the implication from these articles is that like Douyin helped them find and hear about this border, and then that's why they decided to come to America.
Right, you're talking about that 4-foot gap in the San Diego border.
And the implication is that the Chinese government controls Douyin, and then Douyin told them to leave. But I don't understand why the Chinese government would want more of its citizens to leave. So that's why I don't think it's really like the app's fault per se. That's just what people share on the app.
Right. Well, we got to get into it, because obviously the truth is, Andrew, there's a gigantic variance of even the truth. There is no one truth, actually.
By the way, it is not a good thing, and I think America should secure the border. I think most people agree that that's common sense.
Right. I guess, man, for me, it's really interesting because these people might have had like factory jobs, retail jobs. I was reading through some of the stories, because some of these people actually get profiled in terms of like, this guy was a jeweler in Hubei, and his boss stopped paying him, but he kept working. So he was just looking at his life in Hubei being like, oh, this is terrible, you know. Right. And the amount of visas, Andrew, from China went from 2 million down to 100,000 per year now. Holy crap. Because geopolitical relations have soured.
So there's just no way, like basically the chances of you getting a visa to come over to America legally, one, it's going to take years, and two, you might just never get it.
Right. And it's better because you don't have to deal with snakeheads. You don't want to be in the hull of a ship. You know, you can like die that way. Obviously, that was a stereotype in the 90s and the early 2000s.
So you're saying nowadays, this is not exactly like getting crammed onto a boat and getting shipped and then like in these crates as people and then risking death. This is a little bit more of the new age way where people are flying from country to country on their own dime because they have a little bit of money saved up, and then they're doing a hike, and it's almost like just almost an expedition for them.
Right, but it's through the jungle, and it's pretty treacherous.
Right, but I guess maybe safer than the previous ways of getting smuggled to America.
Right. Yeah, so
interesting. Yeah,
and once they're here, I don't know. You know, some people are just going to, I guess, go to places like Flushing or San Gabriel Valley. Let's be honest. I mean, not like Garvey specifically.
Yeah, they're going to work in restaurants or work for
DoorDash
contractors, DoorDash,
Fontuan, Hungry Panda. I don't know
all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Maybe, I don't know. But I guess, David, when people say that they're spies, what are the chances that you think there's, like, let's be realistic about this. I feel like Chinese spies are they're not going to come through that border. I feel like the Chinese spies are going to have the know-how and the savviness to already be in America.
Yeah, well, what are they going to learn about the DoorDash system?
Yeah, like why
what level of American society realistically are these illegal immigrants going to like rise to like send back if the espionage is the plan? A lot of these people are going to end up, I'm not saying their kids are not going to become American citizens and hopefully become successful. Obviously, it depends if they stay, they get deported or whatever they plan. But I'm saying like they themselves are not going to become like these high level like government operatives or whatever. Like
and I guess another thought that I had, and a lot of people will ask about like crime, because anytime you hear about undocumented migrants coming over, you're gonna like question like, yo, are they like, what type of stuff are they going to get into? Are they going to start committing crimes?
Are they gangsters, right? Are they underworld?
Are they gangsters? Right? I guess we'll see,
like
but I would say the rate of, Chinese doing criminality in America is pretty low still. But, I guess that's a worthy note that I want to throw out there.
Right. And I understand that this is an explosive issue, guys. Let's get into the comments section. Somebody said, do they have reasonable grounds for asylum? I know that life isn't easy and work can suck over there, but they're not in immediate government danger either. Well, the truth is there's a variance. Some people there, they're going to be like legitimate political dissidents. Some people are not. Some people are going to be in the middle. I mean, I think a lot of people are coming over for better economic opportunities and they don't see any way out of their current situation.
Right.
Somebody said this is not a truly new phenomenon. It's just different now because you can't overstay a visa if you can't get a visa.
Right.
Somebody said, as an outsider, I can confidently say this is a non-USA person. The USA policy is bonkers.
What policy are they referring to?
I think they're just talking about how the H-1B visas for highly talented immigrants, it's a lottery system because they keep it very limited. And you have to reapply year after year. And if you don't get it 3 times, you got to go back. But then they're like, but then those people, you could just come in illegally through the border as a lower level worker. But the higher level workers have a very confined number of spots.
Right. So they're saying, logically speaking, why wouldn't you make it easier for H-1B visas and the talented, like academic workers or skilled workers? Why not make it way easier for them to come over because you want their talent versus you made it easier for people just to walk around the border fence.
Right. I guess like Uber Eats is going to have a tremendous amount of volume, but like Amazon or like whoever,
Uber Eats delivery guys are, not just Uber Eats like staff. Yeah.
By the way, I'm not saying that all, I'm just saying that that's a common
You're just saying that,
it is true. It's true. I'm not saying all.
Yeah.
Somebody just said the energy is so radically different when reporting Chinese and Ukrainian immigrants as opposed to reporting on Haitians, Mexicans, Guatemalans, El Salvadorans. This is a comment from a Latino that was saying, oh, how come it seems like people are more like understanding of their situation because there's less of that like, oh, they're like cartel members stereotype thrust on certain groups.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know the rate, guys, and I'm sure of the Chinese who come in, some of them are going to break the law. But I guess they're just saying because, like, the statistically, like, the crime rate of Asians is just lower.
Right. Not to say that they're not doing they're going to tax things or
they're probably going to not all do the right thing. But I guess it's just the rate is lower. So that's
and also, like, how do you rank, like, I guess, like a health code violation in a restaurant versus, like, violence. I don't know, man. It's different, man. Of course, other people are like, man, I'm glad to see more Asians, man. Asian, they just be working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. They're not going to complain. They're just going to be quiet. I want some of those Asian factory workers like they got at Foxconn, but at BoxCon over here.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, it depends, right? Isn't it funny, Andrew? Everybody has such a different perspective. Some people are like, yeah, I want more of them robots over here because I need robots for my factory. Other people are like, well, I don't want to compete with those robots for the robot factory jobs. I want my factory job. It's like, there's so much like different perspectives depending on, I guess, your own self-interest, where you lie in the economic equation or your usage rate of different elements.
This is a response to what Dr. Phil said when Dr. Phil says, I don't know, they might be spies. Somebody says, or they could be waiters or florists or chefs or even a make-believe doctor like Dr. Phil.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think, they're coming to work and hustle for sure, whatever the hustle is, you know.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, you got to have a closed border as a country. No, it is a common sense measure that any country should adopt.
I feel like I'm not here to defend any. I'm not. I think like you have to have a secure border as America in some way, right? You have to secure it, but then like, you know, obviously as a Chinese American, I'm also like, I can't help but be empathetic to these guys. But then I also know that they're not coming over the right way.
Right.
So it is like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you just got to secure the border first. I mean, even if it's Hispanics coming over, if it's black people coming over, if it's Asians coming over, whatever it is, they're not technically supposed to be here.
For sure, for sure. I mean, it's like such a tough situation because I understand that, you know, we're not born into that situation.
Right. We
like,
have the privilege.
Or like tier, I guess, of like immigrant was completely different. So I'm not in that situation. Could I try to fantasize and like put myself in their shoes? Then I can understand they're under pressure. They feel like they need to make a move for the future of their bloodline or their lineage. And that goes for across the board.
Yeah.
Across the board, not just Asians, you know?
But I think you can empathize with someone and understand why they're doing something, but still not say that it's right. It's kind of like when even someone commits a crime and they're in the courtroom and it's like, let's say they beat up this other person out of revenge. It's like,
or they even killed somebody, right?
Or they even killed somebody out of revenge. They
killed their brother or whatever.
Yeah, because they're getting back at each other, and it's like you understand why they did it. You conceptually get it. You empathize with their situation. You're like, wow, I probably had a similar feeling, but you still gotta get punished for doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, like, not everybody in life is gonna get born into the best optimal situations. It's true. David, so it's like,
it's taken away from the seriousness for a second. What are some benefits, man? You think Chinese food is going to get better in America?
It should, at least on the low end, to be honest.
Like the street food, I think is going to get better. Like there's going to be better skew.
better Hubei provincial eats for sure.
No, I think there's going to be even more, Chinese like cheap eats maybe. I don't know, or like. I don't know what's going to happen. I just think that if, as long as people come here to work and add, then it's great, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
But yeah, it's not
everybody is tough. It's tough, man. I understand both sides of the argument. I will say this, though. It's interesting as a Chinese person because you got the four or dies, which is the Fobs and Ferraris.
The rich Chinese.
Oh, you got Chinese kids wearing YSL to play basketball in and then hopping into Bugatti, and that's an archetype. And you've got all the way to people crossing over the border, going through the jungle. It's crazy.
Dude.
Got the whole spectrum. Every day you hear about it. Every day I see both stereotypes walking on the street.
I think we have to acknowledge that span and that diversity of just Chinese people alone from China, people from China. That diversity is crazy, from rich international student kids to the hardworking student kids who are not rich, who came over
Gap
here.
Or Old Navy.
Yeah, who came here on academics alone. And then you got like just middle-class kids who came with their parents, who immigrated here with their parents. And then you got, you know, just people who waited a long time for their visa and came over, you know, that are lower middle class or whatever, that are just hardworking.
Right. And then you got the H-1B brain workers, right?
And then you got all the all the way down to the illegal migrants that are just walking around the fence.
And you know what I noticed is that they interact with each other differently than like the way ABC, because we could view ourselves completely outside of that spectrum as well. So it's like, but when you're in that spectrum, I realize that you more like rank yourself within that spectrum.
Yeah. Guys, it's a complicated issue with a lot of feelings and emotions. And I just know that it is smart for America as a country to just extend that fence like 10 feet, man. Like, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know how you have such a big part of the fence that is just open, that people are literally just squeezing by, just being like, oh, okay, I'm in. I'm in.
Hey, listen, guys, man, keep it civil in the comments section. Obviously, not everybody has the information. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I'll tell you this, man. And I'm talking about both parties. A lot of the macro decisions that people made on an infrastructure, institutional level in America, some of those decisions in the past, whatever, how many years, got me scratching my head.
Me, Andrew Fung, Dean Phillips, 2024. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button and check out other episodes of Hot Pot Boys. Hopefully that conversation was at least interesting or gave you another perspective, or at least like, you know, if you haven't had a conversation about this issue, this piece of news, then maybe we were a reasonable conversation. That's all we want. Staying intellectually honest
reasonable
here.
people can disagree on this issue for sure. Because
Yeah,
it's like, the truth is, there's going to be, I don't care what group you're talking about, there's going to be great families that come in and, you know what I mean? And you're going to get everything.
No, you got
everybody's going to get everything. There's like a whole spread of variance for everybody.
Yeah, you got to close the fence, though. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we out. Peace.